Council also took notes of comments made by delegations. And as I said, information from the Commission. So thank you very much for all your contributions to that discussion on that item, which brings us on to the last item for today's agenda. And this is on farming, fur farming in the European Union. You'll find additional information in document 10111. 2021. Now, my understanding is that the Netherlands will speak first on fur farming. So please, Carola, you have the floor for the Netherlands.
And thank you, Maria. And we appreciate the opportunity to address this issue on the agenda. Fur farming has been a long-time subject of discussion in several member states. In society, the issue of welfare becomes more and more important. And we also know that keeping fur animals has a negative impact on the welfare of these animals. This raises the ethical question whether keeping animals solely for fur production is justified. And since the COVID-19 outbreaks in mink, this has become a more urgent issue. Several mink farms in EU member states, also in the Netherlands, have become infected with SARS-CoV-2 since April 2020, with risks for both animal and public health. And we welcome the steps that have been taken by the Commission towards a harmonized approach for reporting and monitoring SARS-CoV-2 infections in mink and raccoon dogs. And in addition, Austria, the Netherlands, and the other co-signers of the information note are of the opinion that the time has come to reconsider our positions with regard to fur farming in the EU, also taking into account animal welfare and ethics. And therefore, we raise this point asking the European Commission to examine the options for a permanent prohibition of fur farming in the EU and to present a legislative proposal to achieve this goal. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, Carola. So now can I turn to Gregor from Austria and ask if you'd like to take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We'd like to thank the Dutch delegation for the excellent cooperation on this joint initiative. Fur farming, animal welfare don't go together. We don't see any ethically justifiable reason for farming animals for fur. Therefore, Austria would like to promote an EU-wide ban on fur farming. As we just heard from the Dutch minister, we call on the Commission to bring forward a proposal or to examine a proposal for a final abolition of fur farming in the EU to achieve these objectives.
Thank you very much. So I'll now open the floor to other delegations who've asked to take it. First, Stefano for Italy and then Lithuania.
Grazie, Maria. Carola.
Thank you very much, Maria. Now, Carola started with a question as to whether it was justifiable to farm just for fur, and my reply is no, it's not justified to farm animals just for their fur. And therefore we give our complete support to the Netherlands, Austria. Have already been supported by Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany and the Slovak Republic. We would give every support to find legislative instruments and see whether we can get a common position from all member states to ensure that this is no longer allowed. We would like this to be banned. We're very happy to contribute to trying to achieve that goal. Thank you. Thank you. Then we have Kestutis and then we have Germany.
Thank you, Maria. I have no doubt that the issue raised by my colleagues is pertinent and in line with both EU and national strategic objectives. Indeed, animal welfare is a topical and important issue. But on the other hand, fur farming is also a legitimate business in Europe. And I'm not sure whether pushing this business out of Europe will improve animal rights, especially if it moves to third countries. I think we have already had a similar experience. Carbon leakage, in particular, so let's not forget about it. That is why I think any actions at the EU level must be seriously considered. Look, in member states where fur farming takes place, investments have already been made, jobs have been created, they generate income in rural areas. Hasty solutions are not appropriate. So the Commission study, as requested by colleagues, must provide comprehensive analysis. It should cover scientific explanation of the pathways of spread of the virus and evaluate risks, and it should also address social aspects and economic costs, including considerable funds needed to compensate farms in the event of a ban on our farming. So such study would certainly help plan the right steps and the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kestutis. Julia, and then Denmark.
Dear colleagues, EU citizens don't want animals to be kept in small cages, deprived of the basic requirements and disrespected. So I can only go along with what colleagues have said. All the more so when the only purpose of keeping such animals is to get their fur, a luxury product. In Germany, we have introduced deliberately rules which are so stringent on this kind of farming that the last farms gave up. So let's not forget that all this is at the cost of the animals themselves. So I insist again, which I certainly did already during the German presidency recently, that throughout the EU we should abolish fur farming. Carola made the point just now regards how mink was involved in the spread of COVID-19. So that's a further big issue. But just from the point of view of animal welfare, I believe that it is high time we abolished fur farming together.
Muito obrigada, Julia.
Thank you very much, Julia. So we have Per, and then we have Ireland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Denmark, we introduced a temporary ban on mink production last autumn. The temporary ban is in place until the end of this year. This was due to the spreading of the COVID-19 virus in Danish mink farms during 2020. This autumn, the Danish government will discuss and decide what will happen regarding mink production in Denmark from the 1st of January next year. Decisions will be based on lessons learned in Denmark so far in relation to public health, especially regarding the contribution from mink farming to the disease burden in humans and the risk of mutations developing in different species in relation to the efficacy of vaccines. If mink production in Denmark will be resumed and on what condition remains to be seen. Therefore, we have no final position on this issue. It's important that we base our policies on a scientific basis, also when it comes to fur production. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, next is Charlie. So, hang on. Next is Charlie, and then Luxembourg.
Thank you very much, Maria. In Ireland, societal attitudes and welfare considerations have evolved with regard to farming for the purpose of fur production. On the 22nd of June, just past over a week ago, the Irish Government agreed to the drafting of legislation to give effect to a ban in Ireland on all farming primarily for fur and skin. This legislation will implement a prohibition on the keeping of animals primarily for their fur or skin and will provide for a scheme of compensation for the fur farming businesses currently operating. It is expected that fur farming will have ceased in Ireland by 2022. Ireland supports the further evolution of EU animal welfare standards using a scientific, evidence-based approach, including the use of animal-based indicators. And very much welcome and thank Member States for putting this on the agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Then we've got Romain for Luxembourg and then Estonia.
Yes. Pardon. Merci.
Thank you, Maria. I also thank you to Carola and Elizabeth for putting this whole issue of fur farming on today's agenda. The COVID-19 pandemic last year drew the attention of the general public to this sector because of the contamination of the animals on these farms, also the zoonotic hazards. It shows there are different disadvantages. Often these things are incompatible with a basic level of welfare. Keeping them in captivity is also a key aspect of that. Also, keeping and killing animals just to have fur is not acceptable from an ethical point of view. Like my colleagues, I feel that the time has come for the EU to make progress, as it's done when it came to cat and dog fur, and we need to gradually bring to an end this practice of fur farming. Now, we banned that back in 2018 in Luxembourg. I think we now need a permanent ban on fur farms in the EU, and we'd like to ask the Commission to come up with a proposal, a legislative proposal along those lines. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Romain. Passo então a palavra.
Thank you very much. It's Ormas and then Poland.
Yeah, Maria.
Thank you, Maria, Commissioner Stella, colleagues. First, I would like to thank my colleagues for raising this issue, and I wanted to inform you about the fact that in Estonia a legislative amendment entered into force in the first days of this month prohibiting fur farming, and Estonia's parliament in that amendment also offered a 5-year transition period, and after that fur farming will no longer exist in Estonia. Thank you.
Muito.
Thank you very much. And then I have Poland, I think, and then we have Slovenia.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair, Madam Commissioner, dear colleagues. Poland supports the note presented by the delegations on fur farming. As we know, the COVID epidemic changed our approach to mink farming. Now we do consider their well-being, but also, and in the first place, we do bear in mind that they are a major threat to public health, to the health of us all. According to the latest scientific evidence, they are a threat to uncontrollable spread of COVID-19, and they may lead to new mutations because they're very prone to getting infected. Our economy is recovering from the pandemic, and we cannot afford to stop the economy, and new dangerous mutations could cause that. The latest information from scientists about alpha, delta, lambda mutations show that people who recovered are not entirely resistant to the delta variant. Therefore, we must eliminate any possible source that could make the virus spread or create new mutations, while this kind of occurrences on mink farms have been proven. We find it in the EFSA reports and in the ECDC reports, or we find it in other COVID-19 scientific evidence. Well, we have seen when there have been cases discovered, detected on some farms, and at the time when a few of them were being killed, more cases were discovered. The same happened in Denmark or in the Netherlands, because these animals are very densely kept. Also, farms are close, therefore it's easy for the virus to spread from farm to farm. So our job is to protect public health, and that's how we can positively influence it. One more thing is very important. We're talking about the note tonight, not about stopping and fur farming, but we have to bear in mind how much farmers may lose, because that's also an important part of the discussion. We need funds to help them to change their economic sector or to compensate them for what they have lost. Thank you.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, Gregor. Then we have Slovenia and then France.
Hvala za besedo, spoštovana predsedujoča.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Madam Commissioner, Slovenia supports this Dutch-Austrian initiative, calling on the Commission to look into a permanent ban on fur farming. I would like to say that in 2013 already, Slovenia banned fur farming and hunting of animals for fur.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you. Then we have Timothée, France, and then Slovakia.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We'd like to thank Netherlands, Austria, and those who've supported them for coming up with this initiative to end fur farming within the European Union. France supports this initiative, where we're talking about wild species which are bred solely for their fur. French authorities have already said that we will no longer have this type of farming in France. However, it's different when we're talking about domestic species like rabbits, which are kept both for meat and for fur. Thank you. Thank you very much. So next, I'd like to give the floor to, who's next? Samuel, Slovakia.
Thank you very much, Maria. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, the whole issue of animal welfare is very important for Slovakia. The Slovak public pays close attention to this, and this is also true of fur farming, which raises the whole issue of ethics as well. Now, we've taken a responsible approach in Slovakia to deal with this. In October 2019, we adopted a draft law, a bill that bans farming of animals just for their fur as of the 1st of January 2021. As of that date, it's not been possible to have any new farms, and there's been a deadline set for all existing farms to be phased out by the end of 2025. So that's why we decided to support this initiative, which I think will contribute to finding a solution to putting an end to fur farming in the EU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. So Noristush for Bulgaria and then Romania.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Republic of Bulgaria, there is a program, and it's being implemented to oversee the spread of COVID-19 in pet animals and minks for the period up to 21. The point of this program is to discover the virus in the mink very early. The Parliament of Bulgaria has reviewed a draft to amend the Act on Veterinary Activities, which bans breeding animals for their fur in the country. This draft is going to be debated once we have a new parliament. The main purpose is to guarantee the welfare of the animals, protection of the environment, protection of the health and interests of citizens in compliance with the national and European legislation. In the context of the stronger public interest and expectations for political changes concerning the end of breeding animals for their furs, we support the Netherlands and Austria, and we hope the Commission will come up with a statement as to whether it intends to put an end and ban this kind of farming in Europe. Thank you.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you, Ristus. So we've got Adrian, and then we've got Hungary.
Thank you, Maria. I've listened attentively to the information note from the Dutch and Austrian delegations. Romania is more reserved on the ban of fur farming, and we would rather prefer an adequate regulation in the field. One of the major goals in the farm-to-fork strategy refers to animal welfare. In the revision exercise of the legislative framework in the field, the welfare of fur animals can be specifically approached together with other farm animals, for which we need to adopt more detailed standards than the general provisions. Adopting a new set of coherent and comprehensive rules, also applicable to fur animals, is necessary in order to govern this type of economic activity in line with the new scientific evidence and to allow harmonization among member states. Raising carnivores for fur next to abattoirs is a link in the circular economy and provides products which are not meant for human consumption, and farming brings added value in some rural areas. Therefore, I believe we should be more cautious in this respect. We should get more data and a more comprehensive analysis before a decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, next is Stefan for Hungary, and then finally Kostas, Greece.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Dear Maria, I'd also like to thank the Netherlands and Austria for raising this issue. In Hungary, as of 2020, there is a ban on fur farming of carnivores. However, when it comes to Angora rabbits and chinchillas, it is still allowed. When it comes to herbivores, animal welfare is not impacted negatively if conditions are right. From this context, this sector is not different from any other livestock production. Therefore, a general ban on fur farming, in our opinion, would not be justified. In this context, a revision of animal welfare rules could be supported by us if, from an economic, social, and scientific point of view, it would be duly justified. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stefan. Finally, we have Kostas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioner, following last year's cases of COVID-19 in mink farms, we understand the concerns of public opinion. However, scientific data during the last year do not indicate that mink play a major role in the spread of the virus or risk for public health or variants. the pandemic evolves, it mutates on humans, and we need to accept the situation objectively and assess risk to public health based on facts. At this point in time, we have increased vaccination rates and dropping rates of the presence of virus in mink farms. So the staff is protected as well as the broader population. Soon we will have vaccines available for animals as well. It goes without saying that we keep on monitoring the epidemiological situation on animals through the right adjustments by the EU. As regards animal welfare, there's a well-known initiative by fur producers. They certify a very high standard of animal welfare. This is a condition for commercial gain. Obviously, the breeding and culling of animals follows legislative requirements. We agree that we should keep improving our standards of animal welfare, but we are concerned about banning a legitimate activity whose product is imported in the EU just like any other product. Thank you.
Muito obrigada a todos, colegas.
Thank you. Thank you to all colleagues. I wonder if Stella, the Commissioner, would like to take the floor.
Yes, Chair, Ministers, thank you. I wanted to just say a few words because it's no secret to you that animal welfare is of high importance to me. Therefore, I'd like to thank the Dutch and Austrian delegations for putting this topic on our agenda. This is not a new topic for discussion for European citizens, but the susceptibility of mink to infections with SARS-CoV-2 has really reactivated this debate. So it is indeed necessary to further reflect on fur farming in the European Union, especially its health, welfare and ethical considerations. Let me just voice two public health concerns. To address the potential risks as regards COVID, we have followed the situation closely and put in place a set of measures. These include harmonized surveillance and reporting requirements for mustelids and raccoon dogs in Member States. The Commission also working together with the World Organization for Animal Health on a precautionary One Health approach to this issue. These measures, based on risk assessments by ECDC and EFSA, are constantly reviewed. Now, looking at animal welfare concerns, I would like to recall that fur farming is subject to the same animal welfare rules applicable to other animal farming sectors. To further improve the welfare of farm animals, we established in 2019 a second EU reference centre for animal welfare, specifically designed to provide Member States with scientific and technical support in better implementing EU legislation. On the ethical considerations around keeping animals for the production of fur, the current EU legislation on animal welfare does not foresee legal possibilities to prohibit the farming of any animal species. This is indeed your national prerogative and something you should give serious consideration to. Our commitment to raising animal welfare standards is a given and shown by the process I immediately started when I took over as Commissioner for Health and Food Safety to revise our rules. We will evaluate and, if needed, change the rules that cover the welfare of animals kept for the production of fur. Thank you for your attention.